Who are you sadder for the losing? Is it Mac Davis or is it Helen Reddy?
Well, it's equal because you know who is still alive.
Yeah, that's true. It's a fair point.
It just doesn't matter.
I'd rather have either one of them alive versus
you know.
I can't even refute that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be me that says that Helen Reddy threw in the towel after RBG died. Okay. You see, she did a song called "I Am Woman."
It was about the feminist. Really, it's kind of a thing there, like an anthem, but now it's over. They're going to go back and get them. Yeah,
right.
I've been watching a lot of the old Lettermans on YouTube. Holy shit, and they're still funny. They still hold up. I am the old man on the porch. I am officially the old man on the porch. I'm all right with it though. Did you see it? Did you get it? Are you sharing it?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm working it.
Work it. Put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
Let's see here. Let's see if we got it.
Uh-oh.
Let's go. Come on.
Come on. Come on. At least it was a good showing by these Cleveland Indians. That was a fuck me.
Yeah, they should have gone and rioted over there.
They're just so used to it. I can't even riot anymore. I'm so over you fuckers.
Okay, we're good.
Ready when you are.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. The Brad and Britt cast is now live here in the 1:30 hour here in the East. Thank you for joining us today. You know, I haven't seen a fight break out on TV like that upset me so much since Geraldo had the skinheads, the Nazis, the black activists, and the Jews duke it out, throwing chairs at each other. That's how bad that was. It was that close.
Grandpa, tell me about the good old days.
Yeah.
Do you know that, and this is the saddest thing, I was the first person in my family on like either side of my mother's or father's family to graduate with a degree, a 4-year degree from a university with a bachelor's degree. I laid out a class that day to watch that fucking fight on Geraldo because they said it was coming up and it was on at like at 9 or 10 and we were all like, "Ooh, we got to watch this shit." That's how stupid, irresponsible dumbasses that we are. We laid out a class that my parents were paying, well, a fraction of what today's tuition is, even inflation adjusted, just to watch that stupidity. And that's how embarrassed I am to say that I saw that all those years ago.
Well, but it's a cultural touchstone. I mean, you got to decide, in the obituary for Geraldo, is it going to be that or is it going to be the Al Capone vault? Which comes first?
I feel like the Al Capone vault because it really is so illustrative of his career. There's a big build up, but nothing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the deal. Let me ask you first things first. How did you think Chris Wallace did as the moderator?
I think he did great.
Yeah.
And I say that knowing that apparently that's not the conventional wisdom. He's getting raked by everybody in effect, and it's because he couldn't keep control. What? I mean, that is, and nobody knows wrestling better than you. That's like attacking the ref at a WWE SummerSlam because he couldn't, quote, keep control of the contestants. It's a show.
He was a show. All of your great referees of all times, your Tommy Youngs or your Earl Hebners or whoever it is. Yeah, he was. I think he's being unfairly kind of criticized. So. And I think so. What is bothering me so much about the overall thing is, I'm just so disgusted with both of them. America was the real loser. I'm so sick of that zeitgeist bullshit that's going around.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Get over it because, separate what happened for an hour and a half on TV with what's going on in real people's lives, which Joe Biden, and I said this to Jane as we were watching this, within the first 5 minutes, the moment that he turned to the camera and started talking to the camera and to the people watching directly, instead of talking at or near or around or to Donald Trump, he was the winner.
Yeah.
He had prepared. He knew what to do. He was camera ready. Donald Trump never, not once, looked into the camera and said, I am this person and I will do this. It was never about that at all. And he winged it, and it showed. And Joe Biden was prepared, and it showed. As much as Joe Biden had to deviate off script because he had to survive, but I think he more than survived.
Yeah.
And it's really up to him to say, yeah, I'm coming to the next one. I look forward to it, which is what he did when he stopped at the Amtrak stop in Alliance, Ohio, in the lunch hour in front of just a couple of people, which they will take as proof that there is a groundswell for Donald Trump, because they will contrast a picture of him with 20,000 screaming Mimi idiots without masks on to the number of people at a two-bit two stoplight town where the Amtrak train stops.
Right.
That people, we hope, have actual jobs and wouldn't waste their time going out to see some candidate that they just saw on TV. I think at this point, we can relax about, oh, well, the rallies are going to make the difference this time, just like they did. First of all, Fox is not even running most of the rallies anymore.
Holy shit.
They have flushed it. They have. They don't run.
Good for them.
Right. But these middle of the day things, they do run.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden was across all three cable networks about an hour ago before we started in the noon hour. And I think there's no doubt. I said, if this was a heavyweight fight, they would have stopped the fight after 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they would have raised Joe Biden's hand, and they would have called it and completely said, you're out, Donald Trump. You've broken all the rules. You're rabbit punching. You're doing all those kinds of things. You're interrupting, and it would have been over. And the idea that Joe Biden couldn't go 90 minutes, that he was going to get tired. Remember what you were hearing before. They wanted half-hour breaks like they had at the
Sleepy Joe.
Right,
all
Sleepy
this other shit. Yeah.
Forget it. And you know what? Which one of those guys needed the drug test when it was over? Which one?
Well, you're not making it. I think you're right. Turning to the camera and talking to America was a huge win for him. I think Joe Biden goading Donald Trump and keeping his cool the entire time was a huge win for Joe Biden. I think the fact that they had Donald Trump had lowered expectations. Like, if Joe Biden did anything at all, he was going to win, and he was very engaged, very focused. I thought he was great. People are going to go with him calling Trump a clown and telling him to shut up, man, and all that stuff. Those were pretty natural reactions to me. And I don't see how I know you have to do the both sides. Oh my God, I hate both sides. I roll. All that bullshit. But come on.
Obviously, it was very, very frustrating if you were watching the coverage on CNN. They assembled a panel of undecided voters, and you just wanted to reach into the screen and punch these people out for the agony that they are in, the both sidesism that they inhabit on everything. And I like Trump, but I don't like the way he interrupted. But Joe Biden shouldn't have said those things. Blah 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 blah. And I think that's a distorted subset of a small subset of people that are left in this country. I think that's almost a disservice to play that game. That the only people who matter when they watch these debates are whatever tiny percentage of people who they're just meeting Joe Biden for the first time. Did you catch a lot of that yesterday? People are starting to tune in for the first time. And Joe Biden, he lost because he didn't have a chance to really introduce himself and lay out all the policies that he would do for the American people. So Donald Trump accomplished what he wanted to do. He blocked, it's like Hollywood Squares, he blocked Joe Biden from saying, and this is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Donald Trump was a desperate losing candidate last night, and he thought that because everything he's ever done in any debate and in any confrontation publicly with another person, intimidation, insults, interruption, that because it supposedly worked, it would work with sleepy Joe Biden. And it didn't work. It backfired. I cannot imagine that the women in the suburbs of all those cities in those swing states, and the one that we're in that we talk about a lot, said, wow, first of all, I'm just tuning into this, and well, Donald Trump, that sounds like a pretty attractive guy. That's who I want for another. It's not that way. Trump lost. He lost big, and I will be shocked. I will be shocked if the polls don't move another 2 points in the national number. And you know what another 2 points in the national number at this point does in the states. It's brutal against Donald Trump, and the clock's running. I can't hear you.
I know. I muted for just a moment. You've seen the 538 thing. If Joe Biden wins the popular vote by 3 to 4%, then his chances of winning the Electoral College go up exponentially.
Right.
So yeah, a couple of percentage points are huge at this point in time, for sure.
Right.
And you saw the CNN poll where they go 6 in 10 people thought that Joe Biden won the debate. All right, that's fine. Let's go ahead and say it's CNN. It's fake news. It's by a factor of 2. Let's say it's only like 20% of the people. It was only like a 20-point advantage for Joe Biden. That's still massive. It's still incredible and very decisive for Joe Biden. They saw and I'll even go with the narrative on this, that the people of America saw 2 folks that they didn't necessarily like, but there was one guy that they liked a lot less than the other guy. That's very clear by any kind of result that you see right now. I'll go with the narrative on that Donald Trump really shit the bed super hard, and maybe people were a little annoyed with Joe Biden. I can go along with that narrative, and I think Joe Biden did himself a lot of favors last night, and Donald Trump did himself no favors. I would ask you what you thought Donald Trump's worst moment of the debate is, because I think there's a very clear, easy answer on this one.
Well, it's going all in with the white supremacists.
There we go.
And the Proud Boys.
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
Let me just tell you something, that tomorrow, right here, there will be a third box for those of you who are watching us live on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever you're watching us. We're going to have Brian Clary, our old friend from Triad City Beat, the editor. He's just written a piece about the Proud Boys, who their president is from Winston-Salem. They do a lot of trouble causing in this state.
Wow.
And we'll talk about that tomorrow live with Brian here on the Brad and Brittcast. He's a great guy, and he knows what's going on. And I was talking to him about a half hour ago, and he was saying, I talked to all these people in New York and in LA, and I'm telling them, we're right in the middle of it right here. They're right here. This isn't some theoretical thing. They're here. They're among us.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. I thought that Chris Wallace giving Donald Trump an opportunity to denounce white supremacy, and then Donald Trump flogging around and not being able to do it in a very simple way, I thought it was by far the worst thing in the entire debate for Donald Trump. I don't even know if there's a second place. There were a lot of bad things that happened in that debate, but when you clearly have an opportunity and you say, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by, like they're in a militia and they're going to be on reserve. Wait for my sign, boys. Like it's Braveheart. It's disgusting. I don't even see how you spin that. Now, the Trump war room, I don't know if you saw the tweets from them. They had to clean up his dookie by tweeting out, these are 7 times that President Trump has denounced the Ku Klux Klan. That's what they had. These videos, they had to push it. If you have to do that, you lose. If that's what you're doing, you've lost.
But remember, every time he ever came close to saying things like that, it was because it was the equivalent of you going to the dentist and them having to anesthetize you and then pull your teeth. I mean, remember, Donald Trump never spontaneously ever says things like that. It's always an answer to a question because he's already done something so egregiously racist,
right?
That he has to backtrack and pretend, at least for a moment. It's like wearing masks. It's like they could go back right now and find 5 times over the last 6 months where, if you take it out of context, Donald Trump looks like he's the "I'm for masks" guy.
He's
right?
the pro-mask. Yeah, he's the pro-mask
guy,
yeah,
which of course he's obviously not. So when you have to take your own guy out of context to try to prove an improvable point,
forget it.
You're kind of in trouble.
And you go back to Charlottesville. What was Charlottesville? 2017. He took 3 shots at trying to condemn white supremacy, and he was giving 3 and he fucked it up every time.
Well,
every single time.
Here's the reason why he cannot denounce white supremacy, why he cannot talk that way against racism, because that would be self-hate.
Yeah, it's true.
Because he is that person. That is who he is.
Yeah. And
you saw immediately, within apparently 5 minutes, they produced a logo with what did you say? Stand
back and stand by.
Yeah.
Those were his words to he was addressing them directly.
And now here's the question. Was that a planned response by him? Because those words don't come naturally to anybody, because the military phrase is always "stand down," right?
Right.
And "Stand Back" is a song by Stevie Nicks.
That's his the big one. Big solo hit for Stevie Nicks, yeah.
Right. You want me to sing it?
No, I don't. I'm good. Okay. Thank you.
Right.
No,
I was gonna Gilbert you there.
I don't the Gilbert Godfrey. No, I feel like I mean, that could have easily been like a planned thing. There's no question about it.
By the way, if that's what you planned, you need new writers.
Well, I mean, let's not even pretend that he's not being fed this stuff from some Reddit thread or from somebody, because he gets this stuff. He traffics in this stuff.
I think you're right.
He doesn't spontaneously get this shit. I mean, he lives in this stuff. He sees it on Twitter. People dig this shit up for him, and he loves it. He can't get enough of it, man. He's having the best time ever doing this shit. And yeah, I don't think it's out of bounds to say that might have been a planned response by him, but in any way.
Mm-hmm. I just wonder whether, and we'll know this in a month, whether this was it, that it's over.
Oh, I hope so.
You've hardened the clay just a little bit more.
Yeah.
You've made it utterly impossible to even fake trying to reach out to people who weren't predisposed to vote for you before, and for independents who he was already losing. Didn't you say he was down 70% against him in the independents already? Wasn't he was already way down. This didn't sway anybody over to him. So now he's left with what was the last part of the debate, which is massive voter suppression, massive intimidation, massive amounts of trying to inject doubt into the system to get people to stay away. And as you said, by calling out his private militia of white racists to show up at polling places across the country on election day. And here's the flaw in that. Number one, it's not going to work. Number two, everybody's aware of it, so it doesn't have quite the impact that it would. Everybody knows what's going on. And I think that local authorities and local police and local mayors all across the country are on the lookout for this stuff. And number three, it discounts the incentive that is given to people to vote earlier and earlier and mail in vote more and more. What, suddenly he has credibility on repeating the same 8 things that he said over and over again about mail-in voting, which is different than absentee voting. Didn't you know that? See, absentee voting is when you ask for it, but mail-in voting is when they send out 80 million ballots to people who don't even know they're breathing. They send them to dead people and dogs. And what struck me, and again, I'm sure you must have noticed this. You must have noticed this the moment it started. You knew that not only did Trump not prepare
Right.
anything, you knew he was going to repeat the same bromides, the same bullshit that he does at a rally. Think about this for a second. What if this had been under regular debate circumstances in terms of an audience? If there would have been people in there, it might have ended up like the Geraldo show. People might have gotten up out of the audience and started throwing chairs at each other and at the people on stage, because it was intolerable. It was insufferable. So Trump couldn't play to a crowd. And as bad as he was last night, it might have worked better if he would have had his people screaming and hollering on his behalf, which is not going to happen. He'll get them at a rally in Minnesota on Wednesday night to say that this was the greatest victory. This is the greatest comeback.
Right.
He'll be the comeback kid. He'll make up some bullshit about how he crushed Joe Biden. Joe didn't have an answer. He's going to pound on the fact that Joe Biden didn't have an answer to which police unions and which police organizations support him. The answer is probably not any. But you know what? Who cares? But by the way, remember, Donald Trump has been lumping the police and the guys on motorcycles and the people with guns together who would stand behind him in any instance that he decided was important enough. He said that for forever at not just rallies, but when he would stand in front of police groups. That was part of his tough guy thug image thing. So again, how does that help in the suburbs of these big cities in the swing states that are assumedly going to decide the election? The answer is not very much. So yeah, he caught Joe Biden on that one. So what? There's 100 that Joe Biden caught Donald Trump on that we could name on every subject. And the whole attempt by Trump to pivot to Hunter Biden about 4 or 5 different times, which went nowhere. Wow. And then after saying, well, I didn't know Beau Biden, let's talk about Hunter.
That's right.
Oh my God.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know about the dead.
Oh my God. I don't know about the dead veteran.
I don't know about him. I know about Hunter. and it just didn't work. It just didn't work at all. Yeah. None of that stuff was there was a failure to launch on any of his attacks.
Right. Let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Biden intentionally did not engage on Trump's taunt about whatever kind of money Hunter Biden made, however he made it, which has turned out to be a big nothing burger. He did not use that to turn that into, well, what about your nepotism? What about your loser kids?
Right.
What about, he decided not to go there. I think that was smart. And I think it was smart because it's well known. It doesn't have to be talked about. I mean, Don Jr. and Eric Trump, they're out there mouthing off day after day. Everybody knows what losers, what second-rate intellects they are. So I think Joe Biden was very well prepared for this. And think about this. Imagine the people who were playing Trump in the practice debates, what they must have been doing to Joe Biden, because it feels like Joe Biden was ready for everything. He was ready for 9 kitchen sinks to be dropped on his head at once. So they probably said worse things in practice than we saw last night, which of course that's the best way to practice, right?
Absolutely.
You make it so that when you get out of the on deck circle, the bat feels lighter. You see, that's a baseball thing.
Yeah, the baseball playoff thing going on right now. It looks like it's pretty good. The wild card round. That's
really like the Yankees. They're coming on.
The next format's going to be town hall, which they think is also going to be way better for Joe Biden.
Well, this is a halfway version to what I was just talking about. It's not going to be, 1,500 people in an auditorium, but if it looks like the ones that we've seen during the primaries and even more recently, where a room, I don't know whether it's assembled or whether they find a place that looks like a bowl, There's about 300 seats in there. They fill up about 25 or 30 of them. They separate everybody, and people stand up and they ask their question. And Biden and Trump are down on the floor, and there's a third person, a moderator. That is close to being an audience. And if Trump behaves even close to what he did the other night, it'll look even worse if that's possible. So there's a chance that Academy Award actor Donald Trump could come out completely the opposite, soft-spoken, quiet, measured.
That's going to be even
Donald
worse.
Trump.
That's going to be so bad.
Right. Well, he can't speak in an inside voice with any authority on anything. It's like when he's reading off a teleprompter, a speech that he's seen for the first time. He's low energy. His eyes are down looking at the page, or he's not there. He only is at what he thinks is his best when he is addressing a large crowd, dominating the room, dominating the scene. And it's hard to do that in the town hall situation, especially because he's laid such a predicate of insanity after this first debate. I don't know where he goes from there. Here's a theoretical, hypothetical, you-know-what question that's being asked, and Joe Biden has already answered it, but we'll pretend he hasn't answered it yet. Shouldn't he just say, that's enough, game over?
I was about to bring that up. Yeah.
There's nothing more to be said. The American people know where each of us stands. The American people know what kind of tenor each of us has. The American people know what kind of temperament each of us displays. The American people know who cares about the American people and who cares about themselves. The American people know who's in it for the money and who isn't in it for the money, for their own personal bank account. And so, therefore, I'm going to devote the rest of these 30-some days to reaching as many people as I can across the country in a more rational setting. And Donald Trump is free to have 10 rallies a day. Go ahead, go do it. He's already said, no, I look forward to the next one. So he's not doing it. The chattering class says he should say, that's it, I'm done. I will not be in the same room with you. What do you think?
I think it's a mistake to tap out on it. I think he needs to go forward with it because I think Donald Trump
he is.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think in any way that should even be a consideration. Make Donald Trump be the guy that goes, I'm not going to show up, and the game, it's been rigged, all that stuff. That's what he does. So yeah, I was just looking at the schedule. The vice presidential debate is coming up on October the 7th. That's going to be in Utah, and Susan Page from USA Today is going to be your moderator. October the 15th, that's the one from Miami, and that's going to be Steve Scully from C-SPAN. That is the town hall one. And October 22nd at Belmont University in Nashville with Kristen Welker of the NBC News White House correspondent and co-anchor of Weekend Today. By the way, she's only the second Black woman to serve as a sole moderator of a presidential debate. The first was Carol Simpson. Very interesting to see how.
Yeah, but she's not really that black.
She's sort of black. She's kind of black.
To kind of look at her because you can't
very
really
light skin.
Yeah.
What did you think about the COVID part of the program and all of the back and forth that happened in that one?
Well, Donald Trump likes to argue against things that you never said. And of course, Joe Biden didn't say that Donald Trump killed every one of the 200,000 people, but he always leans back on the same 5 things that he's always said. One death is too many. One death, that's his version of empathy. Okay.
We have that on the one hand, and on the other hand, we have, it is what it is. So,
well, the line that Joe Biden practiced and had ready to go and used it once is, it is what it is because you are what you are.
Oh yeah.
That's a t-shirt line. That ought to be out there. It is what it is because you are what you are.
What was the other great locked and loaded line that Joe Biden had? The art of the steal. That was another one that he threw out there that I thought
that's
was
not very
good.
Original, but
we'll
take it.
He took it and he did it. I thought he ran with it as much as he possibly could. I thought that was another good. And then of course Trump, kind of leans back again on
I banned travel to China, and all they did was say that I was a racist and a xenophobe, and all that shit.
Could please give me some new material, and please stop with the ultimate super straw man argument of they wanted me to do nothing, so there'd be 2 million people dead, and look how few there are compared to that. So I'm great. Reelect me.
Right.
No, nobody was arguing to ever do nothing. Never, not once, not once. Early on in January and February, when it wasn't known how widespread this was going to be, everybody was holding their horses. Nobody wanted to shut down any economy. And Donald Trump can charge all day long at these rallies and at debates that Joe Biden really wants to just close the entire economy. And he wants to close it yesterday because he actually has the power to close it, as you know.
He does, yeah.
And why didn't you get on the phone? Why didn't you get on the phone with the governor of Oregon and the mayor of Portland and tell them to stop with all the riots? And Biden's answer was obvious. Well, I'm not in office right now, and that's not my job to do that. But and Trump wasn't clever enough to say, well, I didn't mean you have to actually call them. You need to talk about it in public, which of course Biden would then say, I've said it 1,000,000 times. Riots and violence is not protest.
Mm-hmm.
He said it 1,000,000 times. So I don't think that Trump made any progress with that. The only thing he got on the law and order thing was the more endorsements from police.
But Trump did lie about saying that the sheriff in Portland was behind him, and that's not the case at all. As the sheriff, I can't remember the name of the county, but he said, no, I never have been, I never will be.
Right. And
so that's just an out and out lie.
Right. I think he lied about Biden being the defund the police guy, which he's never been.
Right.
He's just never been. So we've talked about this in various ways, for all these years, that when Trump gets painted into a corner, his way out is always to lie. And he's got enough people who are sympathetic to him and who will lie for him and who will write editorials in the Wall Street Journal for him, and enough people on Fox News to keep lying for him. But even, what's his name, Brian Kilmeade, in the 6 o'clock hour this morning, you probably saw it, said, what the fuck is he doing with this Proud Boys shit? How did he get himself into that one?
But see, isn't that the mildest? That's the mildest rebuke you could ever get on Fox and Friends, right?
It doesn't mean anything.
That's a chip shot. Of course, I'm calling out the president because he supports white supremacists. Well, profiles encourage, Brian Kilmeade. Way to go. I mean, my God, after they've fostered this shit for 3.5, 4 years now on Fox, the mildest rebuke of all time and the easiest of all time. Yeah,
sure. Do you think that after this was over, that the people around him gave him so many high fives? You nailed it. You kicked his ass.
What's the alternative?
He's such a puss.
Yeah,
that nobody can ever tell him that Don, we need to buy a new bed. You shit it. You shit the bed.
There's no way anybody could ever come up to you and go, we need to clean up this. I think Chris Christie, I think, was in the spin room afterwards. And I think Chris Christie, his statement was, there are just a few mistakes that Donald Trump could clean up so easily for the next debate. And that's like the most, that's a hard rebuke in Trump world. There's nobody even close to him that's going to tell him, boy, you fucked up bad, which goes back to what I said about that first debate in 2004. After George W. Bush died against John Kerry, a number of people came to him and said, that was really shitty. You were bad. And you know what George Bush did? He actually listened. He goes, yeah, you're right. I got to do a lot better. And he did a lot better in the last two debates because he has a brain. He actually had some sort of reflection to know that maybe I didn't do so well. Maybe I should actually listen to these people. There's no way that there's anybody even close within 500 miles of Donald Trump that would tell him that you sucked and you need to change. And if they did, he'd never take it to heart anyway. There's no way that he's going to change his strategy or anything.
All right, so we need to say this the day after the first debate and go on record that there's no way that he significantly changes his tenor or his approach
No.
the next time out. That it's got to be balls to the wall. The only way the Proud Boys are going to stay with him is if he continues down the same road, that there can be no sympathy for a black person who has the shit beaten out of them or gets murdered by the cops. It's always their fault.
Right.
Proud Boys, election is fixed.
Yeah.
That he cannot deviate off of any of these stances. Is that correct?
There's no way. There's no way, because there's no reflection or like, boy, we should really change our strategy. It's not going to be like that at all. I thought one of the better parts of the debate was, I thought the healthcare discussion, I thought Joe Biden kicked his ass completely on that one. I don't think there was any comeback at all from Donald Trump.
All right. So the criticism is that Chris Wallace was on Team Biden. And remember what happens to elicit comments like that. When you ask Donald Trump a completely objective and fair question like, where is your health care plan? You've been promising it for 4 years. Where is it? That's acting like you're Joe Biden Jr. if you're Chris Wallace to the people who are on Team Trump, which gets down to the unmutable truth that if you tell the truth with Donald Trump, you're in trouble. If you lie, you're fine with him. So when Chris Wallace kept saying, well, where's the plan? Where is it? And of course, Donald Trump doesn't have one. So I don't even remember what he said. Oh, it's coming. I've already protected us against a pre-existing condition, which of course we know already exists in Obamacare.
Right.
And so you've got nothing. There's just nothing there. It's just puff. It's smoke. It's like LeBron James before the game. You know, the smoke goes up and then it's gone. There's nothing there after that.
Yeah,
right?
there is kind of an emperor has no clothes kind of quality to all of it. And that's part of what Biden's job is. And he does kind of expose all of that shit. But I thought the healthcare, what did you think of the economic portion of it? I thought the economy part of it was really good as well. When Donald Trump lied and said he's created 700,000 manufacturing jobs, when the fact is they're 200,000 in the hole from where they started back in 2017.
Right. You know, he threw out a line. And I looked over Jane because, you know, she is now a retired federal worker, was a psychiatrist in the VA for about 6 years. And Trump threw out a line, you and Obama killed 308,000 veterans.
Cheapers.
And so I looked it up to see whether that was anything. Of course, it was nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, that's the total number of veterans over the last 50 years who may have died, but no one knows how they died. It had nothing to do with the VA itself, but it's just number of veterans who died. So Trump takes a number and tries to smack Joe Biden with it out of left field. But that's the kind of tsunami of insanity that he thought he could win with, that he thought he could bowl over Joe Biden. Again, I said this to Jane, a member of the female species, afterwards. This was a chancy thing that I said. This could have had me doing this podcast from our little doghouse outside. It's
wow.
a chancy thing. I said, you know, Trump got away with this shit against Hillary because she was a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Biden was a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was different this time. And you know what she did? She agreed.
Oh, that's true.
She because, you know, Donald Trump has no respect for anybody. He has way less respect for women who are smarter and stronger than him.
Exactly.
But he got away with that crap of stalking Hillary Clinton on stage. And last night was the verbal equivalent of that with Joe Biden. And it did not work. It just didn't work. The tough guy thing is just BS. I mean, some people were comparing it to a WWE match, and I think that's an insult to the WWE because
well, their shit is pretty bad right now, but yeah.
Right. But WWE is still better. But Donald Trump is steeped in that idea that, you know, bluster wins all the time. Content means nothing. Image is everything. And it's gotten him pretty far in life, but it really looks like he's headed to the home stretch here, and it's not going to be a pretty ending for him. I just hope that the momentum can keep up here, and that we can all understand that this is not over. It's not close to over, and every voter suppression technique that's ever been invented by mankind and the Republican Party, going back to Reconstruction, is in place right now. And we have the X factor of other countries, of Russians, of Iranians. And why did you talk about the Chinese?
China.
Everybody trying to get in on this. And it's just important that you live in your own world and do what you can and talk to as many people rationally as you can to just make sure that they get out and vote. I thought that the look into the camera appeals by Joe Biden to just suck it up, relax, make a plan, get out there and vote. And that will be the statement that Donald Trump cannot turn away from. I thought that was extremely effective. I'd be surprised if that isn't already in his advertising.
Should be.
Right now. It should be. He repeated it again at the first train stop that he made on Amtrak on Wednesday, heading through Ohio into Pennsylvania Dutch country. And I just contrast that measured, quiet, eventful statement of encouraging people to do the one thing, the one piece of America that we own, that little vote every 4 years for president, that has nothing to do with how rich or how poor you are. And that's what drives Republicans crazy. It's driven them crazy, again, since the Civil War, since more people than the original people who were allowed to vote, since that pool started to expand.
You mean the white slate, the white property owners?
Right.
Male property owners?
As soon as it started expanding outward from that, after the Civil War and after the amendments that were passed then, and then you had that 11 or 12 years, those golden years of Reconstruction, and then they pushed back on that so hard it's not to be believed, to the point where we got President Rutherford B. Hayes. And did you ever read about how that election came out, how that was decided? Oh my God. That was
like 3 different ballots, I think, in the House of Representatives.
It's not just that. They cut a deal. They cut a deal that made it so that essentially Reconstruction would be stopped in exchange for Hayes being named the president. It was horrible.
Well, it should be noted.
It was just horrible. It was the worst compromise ever in the history of history.
It should be noted that Abraham Lincoln was not necessarily for Reconstruction, but he lost the argument when he was murdered by a Confederate sympathizer.
But hang on. Nobody's been treated worse than Donald Trump as president.
That's true. That is exactly right.
But you know what? We can work on it.
Look what you did.
Hang on. The Secret Service is at my door.
And on that note,
I didn't say anything.
On that note, we'll end for today. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Ryan Clary tomorrow from Triad City Beat on the Proud Boys in our own neighborhood.
Because they're here.